Deep in Russia, far from the headlines and the glare of international attention, a slow-motion economic disaster is quietly unfolding, reshaping the lives of millions. Once bustling factories now stand silent, their gates rusting shut, while entire industrial towns are left searching for purpose in a new, uncertain era. Imagine a national garage sale on an unimaginable scale, where the only things left to sell are the country's future and the fragile sense of stability that once held society together. Russia's economy has become a frantic scramble, desperately trying to fund a costly and grinding war while struggling to keep the lights on at home and businesses afloat. The Kremlin insists that everything is under control, pointing to carefully curated and manipulated GDP figures, hoping to project an image of strength and resilience. But behind this carefully maintained facade, the cracks are widening into chasms, exposing the deep vulnerabilities and growing despair within the nation. Every tank rolling through Ukraine is paid for with a piece of a Russian citizen's pension, a school that won't be repaired, or a hospital that will never be built, sacrifices made quietly but felt deeply. Russia has put its entire economy on a war footing, betting everything, its resources, its people, and its future, on the hope of military victory no matter the cost. But now, the harsh reality is starting to collect on Russia's tab, as debts mount and the value of the ruble continues to erode. The collapse isn't just a distant prediction, it's happening right now, visible in empty shopping malls, shuttered businesses, and the daily struggles of ordinary Russians. Welcome to the Great Russian Fire Sale, where the prices may be low, but the true cost to society is devastatingly high, leaving scars that will last for generations. The story of Russia's war economy is a cautionary tale, a saga of hubris, sacrifice, and staggering consequences that will echo far beyond its borders for years to come. You keep hearing the term, war economy. It's all over the news, in headlines, and on talk shows. But what does it actually mean for a country, for its people, and for its future? The phrase gets thrown around a lot, but for most people it's a bit of a mystery. Is it just about spending more on the military, or is there something deeper going on? Imagine your household budget. Now picture suddenly redirecting most of your money, not to groceries, rent, or school supplies, but to building a giant medieval trebuchet in your backyard. That's the basic idea behind a war economy. Resources that once went to everyday needs are now funneled into the machinery of war. In a war economy, a nation's entire focus shifts. Factories, workers, and raw materials are all redirected towards supporting the war effort. The government takes control, prioritizing tanks, missiles, and ammunition over everything else. Factories that once made cars or refrigerators are now churning out armored vehicles and weapons. Civilian production is sidelined, and the military becomes the main customer for almost everything. The government pours vast sums of money into military contracts, buying up everything from boots to ballistic missiles. This creates jobs in the defense sector, but it also means less investment in things like healthcare, education, and infrastructure. Everything else, schools, hospitals, public services, takes a back seat. Funding dries up, and the quality of life for ordinary people starts to decline. It's a state of emergency that burns through resources at an alarming rate. Everyday goods become scarce, prices rise, and shelves empty out as the country's wealth is consumed by the war machine. Russia's military spending has now reached levels not seen since the Cold War. The numbers look impressive, but what's really happening beneath the surface? All this activity creates the illusion of a booming economy. Factories are busy, people are working, but it's not real sustainable growth. It's artificial, propped up by government spending on destruction. It's like judging someone's health by how fast a tumor grows. The numbers go up, but the underlying reality is dangerous and unsustainable. A war economy is ultimately a dead end. It produces nothing of lasting value, just more weapons, more destruction, and more waste. Tanks can't be eaten, and missiles can't pave roads or build homes. The things that make life better, food, housing, education, are neglected. Sure, the defense sector gets a temporary boost. Workers in arms factories might see bigger paychecks, but the rest of the economy is left starving, with civilian industries shutting down and unemployment rising elsewhere. Russia isn't building for the future, it's demolishing it, one artillery shell at a time. The cost isn't just financial, it's social, cultural, and generational. The core problem is that a war economy is unsustainable. It eats away at the foundations of society, leaving behind broken infrastructure and depleted resources. Over time, the things that hold a country together, schools, hospitals, homes, fall apart. The future is mortgaged for the sake of the present conflict. While a war economy might keep the conflict going, it does so by sacrificing the nation's future. Ordinary people pay the price, with fewer opportunities and a lower quality of life. Russia's economy isn't growing, it's consuming itself, burning through its own resources and potential just to keep the war machine running. In the end, a war economy is a system designed for destruction, not prosperity. It may keep the engines running for now, but it leaves nothing behind except ruins. When Russia invaded, the world responded with severe sanctions. These measures were not just symbolic gestures but powerful tools aimed at crippling the Russian economy and sending a strong message against aggression. Over $300 billion of Russia's central bank assets were frozen, a staggering amount that sent shockwaves through the financial system. This move was designed to restrict Russia's ability to finance its military operations and maintain economic stability. Key Russian banks were cut off from swift, crippling international transactions. This exclusion from the global financial network made it exceedingly difficult for Russian businesses to operate on an international scale. A price cap on Russian oil limited profits without causing a global crisis. This strategic move ensured that while Russia's revenue from oil was curtailed, the global oil market remained stable, preventing a worldwide economic shock. Sanctions targeted technology, halting industries dependent on Western components. The tech sector, crucial for modern warfare and economic growth, faced severe disruptions as access to essential components was cut off. Russia resorted to desperate measures like scavenging chips from appliances for missiles. This illustrates the extent of the technological blockade, forcing the military to improvise in unprecedented ways. They've turned to trading with China and India, but it's costly and inefficient. These new trade routes are fraught with logistical challenges and do not compensate for the loss of Western markets. Sanctions are 1,000 cuts, slowly bleeding the Russian economy dry. The cumulative effect of these measures is a gradual but relentless economic decline. The financial shock was designed to cripple the Kremlin's war funding. By targeting the economic lifelines, the sanctions aim to weaken Russia's ability to sustain prolonged military engagements. Russia's attempts to circumvent sanctions add complexity and cost. The need to find alternative routes and partners increases operational expenses and reduces profit margins. The sanctions haven't been a knockout blow, but a methodical weakening. Over time, the infrastructure and industrial capacity of Russia are eroding, leaving long-term scars on the economy. The economic pain is real, making everything harder and more expensive. Everyday life for Russian citizens is becoming increasingly challenging as prices soar and availability of goods diminishes. Russia's economy is being systematically hollowed out. The once thriving industrial sectors are now shadows of their former selves, with many factories shuttered and jobs lost. The sanctions are a constant reminder of the country's isolation and decline. As the world moves forward, Russia finds itself increasingly isolated, grappling with the consequences of its actions on the global stage. The ruble's wild ride is a clear indicator of Russia's economic woes. After the invasion, the ruble plummeted, signaling no confidence from global markets. The Kremlin imposed strict controls to stabilize the currency temporarily. But this was a mirage, not genuine economic strength. As the war dragged on, the ruble's pressure became unbearable. By mid-2023, the ruble crashed past 100 to the US dollar. For Russians, this means imported goods become more expensive. It's a direct tax on their standard of living, eroding savings and fueling inflation. The government's response is a frantic game of whack-a-mole. Higher interest rates choke off non-military economic growth. The ruble's instability is a symptom of a deep-seated economic disease. Behind the Kremlin's headlines, the war economy devastates Russian families. Avtovaz, the Lada car manufacturer, symbolizes Russia's technological regression. Shortages are a fact of life, especially in the provinces. The war has created a severe labor shortage, with many skilled workers gone. Families face immense economic pressure, with inflation controlled only for basic goods. The dream of a stable middle-class life is evaporating. Russians are caught in a cycle of devaluing currency and rising prices. It's a quiet crisis, strangling the aspirations of a generation. Compare Russia's economy before February 2022 to today's distorted mess. Before the invasion, Russia had a stable market economy integrated globally. Now the economy's structure is warped, with the state dominating the defense industry. The national wealth fund is being drained to cover war spending. Foreign investment has evaporated and Western companies have fled. Russia has chosen isolation over decades of economic progress. The economy's goal has shifted from improving lives to sustaining the war effort. Russia is now an economic fortress, rotting from the inside. The growth the Kremlin boasts about is not building a prosperous future, it's the growth of a war machine consuming the nation's wealth and resources. The makeover is complete, resulting in a regression of decades. Russia's economy is a hollowed-out shell, focused solely on war. The Kremlin's response to economic catastrophe is propaganda and duct tape. Propaganda manages perception, celebrating minor victories over Western brands. The narrative maintains public morale, framing hardships as noble sacrifices. The second strategy is duct tape, short-term fixes for economic holes. Harsh capital controls and raiding the National Wealth Fund are temporary measures. These are not long-term solutions, they're desperate attempts to delay collapse. The government is constantly reacting with no long-term plan. Strategic planning is replaced by crisis management, creating uncertainty. The duct tape might hold for now, but the structure is weakening. Russia's economic implosion affects global markets, including energy prices. Russia was a major player in oil, gas, wheat, and critical metals. The disruption affects energy prices and the cost of living worldwide. Europe's scramble for new gas suppliers led to a massive price spike. Russia's actions have redrawn the global energy map, causing volatility. The weaponization of food exports contributes to global food price inflation. Russia's neighbors face economic hardship due to the ruble's collapse. An economically desperate Russia creates global instability and uncertainty. The ripples from Russia's collapse affect everyone, whether we notice or not. Russia's war economy is a house of cards in a hurricane. It's propped up by propaganda, dwindling reserves, and authoritarian force. The foundation is cracking, and collapse is inevitable. The risks for Russia are monumental, with industrial and technological degradation. A prolonged war economy risks a lost generation and social contract breakdown. Economic collapse often precedes political instability, making the regime unpredictable. The endgame could be a slow decline or a sudden crisis. The Kremlin bets on outlasting the West's resolve, hoping for reduced sanctions. Russia's war economy is a cautionary tale of ambition and disregard for reality. The Kremlin sacrificed prosperity for conquest, and the bill is due. The collapse is unfolding now, shaping Russia's future for decades.